Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to the mindfulness practice. It's good to be back. It's a nice little trip. My trip was I was in London for a little while, and then spent some time in Portugal. And London was nice. I got to meet with June B. I posted some photo on that photo website, the one that I used to post my lives on afterwards, the ones I would simultaneously cast on. Yeah, it's really nice to meet another Insight Timer teacher. I had met Erin Lee previously. Robin had told me about Erin, and I met up with her at the Big Sit here in Singapore, and this was nice. But June and we had been communicating for probably 2 years or so it's really sweet to meet her in person. I think it's really funny, right? What you kind of right? I mean, you see me like this. I think I think I expected her to be just a few inches taller than she actually was. So it's just kind of funny how that goes. What can I say? Got to give June a hug, which was fantastic. I'd say June's awesome here on Insight Timer, but if you can ever be with her in person, make sure you get a hug. June's really really sweet and really wonderful. And I think if I have the chance to go back to London, I'm definitely going to make some time to do an event together with her. What she does is pretty different from what I do, but I think we can find a way to collaborate together. So that was really awesome. In Portugal, one of the reasons I was there also was I am a Search Inside Yourself certified teacher, and SIY had a global. SIY has changed a little bit, I think, to help to move forward. They've moved some of their nonprofit into a for-profit organization, so they can get a bit more donations or investments, I suppose that it's called now. Which I think it's a good way for Search Inside Yourself to move forward, so that there's more resources. And so things are changing, and got to have a little view as to what is going to be different for me as a Search Inside Yourself teacher. And I think, this is kind of what moves me into today's topic. So today's topic is really about attention and the different types of attention, and this is something that as I was at the Search Inside Yourself the summit, we talked about a little bit, and that one of the science advisors to SIY Global, her name is Dr. Amishi Jha, was there, and she's done a lot of research at University of Miami, and I think what she taught was new for me, and I thought that was really interesting. And one of them as well is that aside from the only thing that her research has discovered that can affect attention long term, right? That can be like exercise for the brain, for training attention, is that everything that has been tried, the only thing that was effective was mindfulness. And I really wish I would have had a chance to engage her, because I think it's important to also be a devil's advocate, to not accept, especially, that this is what we're, I think is what many of you maybe are here for, is for mindfulness practice, because we believe that mindfulness affects our attention, and there's research and data that shows that mindfulness does train attention and allow us to hold attention longer, and in various ways. But I think it's also important for us to look clearly. Is that, first of all, are we 100% sure that it does work? And secondly, is there no other alternative? Sometimes when we already believe something, it's really easy to do research that confirms what we already believe. So that, I guess that's just a word of warning. I think that's something that I always try to say here is don't take anything at face value. Make sure that you experience something. Don't listen to what someone else tells you, but do try for yourself. Do look at it at various angles to figure out what is really true, because it's really easy for us to just go, well, this is what this is what I've always believed. So of course I want to believe that, and I want boy, it sure would stink if that's not true. So I want to find ways to confirm this thing that I believe, and I'll be the first to say, hey, I'll be happy to shut down this live practice, or at least change it in some way, drastically, if I were to find out that mindfulness is ineffective. But at least for the time being, myself, many researchers, and other people, celebrities, and even the Chicago Bulls have used mindfulness training effectively. And I think Dan Harris. I really do like Dan Harris's stuff as well. This CBS newscaster who has used mindfulness to help him after a panic attack. Anyway, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I've got 3 more minutes to talk about attention, which is my chosen topic of today. Amishi Jha has talked about attention works in, there are 3 types of attention, and each of these types of attention engages a different neural network. And I thought this was really interesting as well, that they're distinct from one another, that each one of these attentions doesn't operate the same way, and mindfulness has an effect on all 3. So the 3 types of attention are the spotlight kind of attention, so really focusing in on one thing. That could be when we're, when we're recalling a memory. We're really thinking, we're bringing that memory back out of our memory banks, out of our long-term storage, and we're bringing it into the present, and we're thinking about it intently, right? This is intentionally thinking about a memory using that spotlight kind of attention, and this is just one example of how that spotlight kind of attention works. The next kind is this broad umbrella kind of attention, that we're openly looking for something. We're openly observing. So this can be like when we're like when you're doing Wordle, and you're trying to guess what the next word is, right? Or you're trying to think of what to put in the next blank. So this is a very broad lens that we're trying to see what's going to pop up into our minds. So this is what happens in ideation, among other things. It can be when we're in open awareness practice, for example, when we're just feeling whatever it is that comes into our present moment awareness. And I promise myself not to use meditation analogies for this part. But yeah, at least for now, using thinking analogies related to thinking. The third type of attention is management. So looking at where my attention is, and thinking that can be something like, well, what am I focused on the thing that I'm supposed to be focused on doing? And Dr. Jha did a really interesting experiment showing us how when your mind does something automatically, and we're trying to keep your mind from doing that automatic thing. And I'll do, maybe in a few days I'll do a little example with you to show how that works. But this is using that network. So we're trying to, we're doing something automatically, but we're trying to manage our attention away so that we're focusing in another area. And so this requires a significant amount of effort. And I think the other thing before we get started in practice to say is that attention is it's critical it's critical for everything we do. Certainly in emotional management. I mean, really, that's what SIY is all about. Search Inside Yourself is an emotional intelligence program, and so how to manage our emotions is it's really important for us to be aware of what's happening, and our attention is something that is critical in that process. The stronger our attention, the better we are able to manage ourselves in every aspect of our life, not just our emotional selves, but at work. How do I keep my attention focused? How do I keep my attention from wandering into something else? And it's really critical in pretty much every aspect of life. And attention is vulnerable. It's easy to lose attention. And last but not least, stress makes our attention incredibly vulnerable. So in a lot of her experiments, Dr. Jha purposely put her subjects under stress to see how it affected their ability to pay attention. And in all cases, stress was a really key factor into how easy it was for participants to be drawn away from the task that they were supposed to be doing. So it's all very interesting findings, and we'll be kind of exploring as we move into open awareness in these next few days, how attention, how especially this kind of broader attention works. And in today's practice, we're going to do another focused attention practice. And what's interesting is that each one of these three types of attention is active in focused attention. So focus on the breath, that's this spotlight, flashlight kind of attention. Then we wander away. We notice that the mind is wandering. That noticing happens in that large umbrella kind of attention. So we're aware, now I can see with this broad lens that I'm not doing what I intended to do. In management, this management portion is the redirection. So all three of these networks get strengthened when we do mindfulness meditation. This has been recorded. It will be available on YouTube, so you can feel free to check it out. I'll upload it later, so if you missed any portion of today's welcome back to Singapore practice. And we're going to go ahead and get into our practice now. And we'll be doing focused attention practice. On Saturday, when we meet again, we'll be transitioning a little bit from focused attention into open awareness, slowly, step by step. So get yourself settled. Find whatever posture is going to be suitable for you today. So I'm rolling my shoulders now just to kind of aid in a bit of relaxation. So this posture that you're choosing today, just choosing something that is relaxing yet alert. So as we get started, let's take 3 deep breaths together. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling, fully inflating the lungs. Exhaling. Last one with control, fully inflating the lungs. Exhaling. And now letting go of your control of the breath, just allowing the breath to be as it is. And as we allow the breath to be, can we simply observe what it feels like to be breathing? And so where do you feel that? Where does the physical sensation of breath arise most vividly, most apparently today? And when I just sit back, allow my attention to widely examine, I find that for me today, my abdomen is where I feel the breath most vividly, most apparently, and where my breath is most alive. So maybe that's different for you. Maybe you're finding it more apparent in the chest or at the nostrils. Maybe you're finding the whole body breathing is how you feel your breath. Just noticing with that wide lens, where is my breath most alive for me? And then allowing the attention to focus there. Inhaling, followed by exhaling, followed by inhaling, followed by exhaling as our breath repeats. At least this inhaling and exhaling is repeating. But if you really pay attention, you'll notice that each breath is unique. No two breaths are exactly alike. And if you really, really focus your attention, you might be able to notice that. Are you still focusing on the breath, or has your mind moved to some other topic? So now, remembering that you can bring your attention back. So gently letting go of any distraction you may have had, any other thoughts that might have been coming up, and refocusing your attention so that you're fully paying attention to what it feels like to be breathing. And so is it difficult to keep the mind focused? And know that there is only a few minutes left. So redouble your effort. Focus your attention. Feel the breath. Feel this breath. All right. Congratulations, everyone. You've made it through today's practice, and I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right, well done. How was that? How was practice today? Did it go well for you? And if it didn't, or if it did, how did you know? What's a good meditation? What's a bad meditation? Feel free to write in the chat. Let us know how everything went. In the meantime, I will be back on Saturday to do a 1-hour practice. Saturday meaning my time, Saturday morning Singapore time. Maybe that's Friday evening for some of you who are in the US or Western Europe or in South America or Western Africa. Feel free to come back. I plan to have a little bit more open discussion, as of course I've got the hour format. Maybe less time on practice, a little bit more time on discussion. If you want to ask any questions, hey, I'm happy to talk about how my trip went if you're curious about that, or you have more questions about attention or open awareness practice versus focused attention practice. I'm happy to share whatever knowledge I have on those topics. So feel free to come back and ask. And in the meantime, let me know how everything went and your interest in this topic of attention. Good to see you, Cece. Good evening, Yogi. Thanks for your donation, Cece. Much appreciated. And if you want to support me as an Insight Timer teacher, feel free to leave a donation. Another thing you can do is listen to those premium tracks if you're an Insight Timer Plus member, and hopefully it's not a burden to listen to those tracks. They're relatively short, usually about 10 minutes, and they're similar to this practice that we just did. There's also a body scan. There's a compassion practice, so you can check those out if you like. I'm working on some courses as well, so looking forward to sharing that with you. Although, frankly, I haven't had a whole lot of time to be working on that stuff because my kids have been out of school, which is a huge blessing. I have to say I'm very happy to spend time with my kids and to have the luxury of spending time with them in these precious years. And I think as this time's gone on, I've realized, man, it's like they're growing up fast, and it's not that there's anything particularly wrong about bad about teenage years, but I've got a few more years left before that happens, and really do treasure how much my boys appreciate their times with Daddy at the moment. So impermanence, right? Everything has its time, and everything goes away eventually. So, doing my best to appreciate the present moment. So anyway, not to get too sentimental, I'll be back working harder, publishing courses. I think one of my premium tracks, I think the 10 minutes of mindfulness, I'm like, if you want more instructions, listen to this course. And it's actually a course that I'm still working on and I haven't yet completed. And I thought I would have it completed before those courses rolled out, before those premium tracks rolled out. But I guess I've just chosen to prioritize this precious time now with them. So once they're back in school, I think it'll be a lot. I'll have more time more time to work on this. So again, we all have some degree of control over how we spend our time. And I guess I'm choosing these days to spend these precious moments with my boys. Sybil shares, I was distracted by thoughts, so I followed my breath in and out to try and stay focused. Thanks, Sybil, for sharing. Jean says, it was a meditation. I was able to focus my attention much of the time. My mind wandered, and I became aware of that, and I was able to gently guide my mind back to the object of my attention, my breath. Thanks, Jean. Nani says, what say you on the topic of ADD relative to your understanding? Wow. Certainly, a mindfulness practice has an effect on ADD. And I really, I really wish I had access to direct research showing, and maybe there has been research that directly shows the impact of mindfulness practice on ADD. I do know that people with ADD may have a harder time doing the practice, and but at the same time, I also go, well, don't let the story of your don't let the story of your challenge dictate what you do. And I've been watching my my middle son these days, especially right now. He's got jet lag, and it's like I feel like the reason he's having insomnia these days, the reason he can't sleep, is because he's telling himself the story, I have jet lag and I can't sleep. And that's not to say that ADD doesn't genuinely affect your mindfulness practice. Certainly it does. But the thing is with enough, don't get caught up in the story of it. If you can, instead of identifying so strongly with, I have this or I have that, to just try your best to do the practice and see how it goes. And if you do have tons of challenge, you can walk away from the practice. But I really think that no matter what your condition, to do 5 minutes of practice a day, no matter how badly you think you're doing, certainly you are having some effect on yourself. So I'll look out for that, Noni, and thanks so much for bringing that up. See if I can find any research on how ADD affects mindfulness practice and what challenges in particular people with ADD have in doing focused attention practice. Barbara says, good practice for me today. I was able to sit relatively stilled, and I enjoyed hearing your voice live. Well, it's great to be back live. I do appreciate it, and I don't regret taking that time off to be. My mom and dad came with us to London and to Portugal, so it was really nice to catch up. They live in Arizona, so I don't see them very often. Oh, and thanks for sharing, Cece. Cece says, I have ADD. This was hard for me at first, very fidgety. And I guess that's something I can share as well. Is I remember very clearly doing the body scan in the first week that I was a participant of mindfulness-based stress reduction. And I found that it was impossible for me not to move, not to twitch, not to let my fingers move, not to let my toes move, not to, move a little bit. And I found that as I learned, as I practiced, as I created those mental pathways inside of my mind and my body, that stopped over time. That I'm now able to sit and do a full practice without moving. And that was something that wasn't possible for me when I started practice. So I think that it worked for me, it worked for Cece, maybe it can work for you too. Thanks, Robin. Great to be back. And I will be enjoying these precious times, doing the best I can, which is, I suppose, all I can do. It's hard. Being a parent's hard. It should be hard. If it isn't hard, you're not doing it right. Thanks for joining everybody today. Now it's time to close practice. I will be back, as I said, on Saturday morning to do a 1 hour practice together with you. Looking forward to that. And as always, let's send our well wishes out to ourselves and to each other as we close. So feel free to follow along. You can repeat after me out loud, or you can repeat in your mind, whatever you like, or you can be a passive receiver. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life throughout the universe be happy and peaceful. Thanks for joining. See you next time. Bye-bye.